Young and Restless next week. Victoria and Kyle's intense chemistry ignites in Steamy twist. August 21st, 2026. Belinda, Gates Turner, Kyle Abbott, Victoria Newman. Young and the Restless spoilers for next week anticipate Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, and Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley. A steamy kiss that finally happens. Plus, Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, has a vibe of his own happening in rehab. We have got the latest Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of August 24th. And also in the week of August 24th through the 28th, we've got Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, worrying about Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, and Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, going off on Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, while Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, faces a growing army of enemies looking to take him down hard. Young and the Restless spoilers. Nikki worries. First, let's talk about Jack's situation that has Nikki so worried. At the end of this week, Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, heads over to Jabot to talk to Jack about Billy Abbott. And as we predicted, Lily offers to pay back the loan that John Abbott, Jerry Douglas, gave Philip Chancellor decades ago with interest. That way, Lily and Jack can wipe the slate clean. They can honor the debt it was owed to John while preserving both Catherine Chancellor, Jean Cooper, and John Abbott's legacies. Jack tells Lily he wants to think it over, but she presses him and says this is urgent. She wants to get it all settled before Billy gets even crazier. But Jack reminds Lily that there's more at stake in this for him. This isn't just about a company for Jack. This is about his family. But he does agree to consider it, and Lily leaves just as Kyle Abbott shows up, and then Jack tells Kyle about the offer that Lily made. Jack risks alienating Billy Y&R. The issue is Jack knows that if he takes the offer, Billy will see it as a betrayal. That's why he's hesitating, and Jack worries that Billy will just cut him out of his life. And then next week's Young and the Restless spoilers have Nikki showing up at Jabot, and she tells Jack she senses he wants privacy. And Nikki is worried that something is wrong at SO. I'm sure Jack's going to fill Nikki in about Billy's claims about Chancellor and the war between Billy, Lily, and Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn. I mean, maybe Victor already told Nikki at this point, but I kind of doubt it because Victor usually hides most things from Nikki, even things that don't need to be hidden. But somebody else might have told her. Sung and the Restless spoilers. Victor ready to strike. And at the end of this week, Kane stops by and tells Victor Newman, Eric Braden, and Adam what's going on with Billy's latest Chancellor scheme. We predicted that Kane would wind up working with both Adam and Victor, and that manifest in coming days. He's furious. Billy's trying to take Chancellor, and Victor's calling Billy a punk. Oh, that may be why she comes to check on Jack. And then Kane tells Victor that unfortunately Billy might actually have the law on his side. Kane tells Adam and Victor that Billy is claiming Chancellor belongs to the Abbotts and Billy is planning to take over and run it himself. And of course, Victor explodes and says no way is he going to let Billy get his hands on Catherine's company. Adam targets Billy on Y&R. So Kane tells Victor and Adam that he thinks Jill Abbott, Jess Walton, actually knew about the unpaid loan, but that she kept Billy in the dark about it. And Adam, of course, finds that funny because he loathes Billy. So Victor then orders Adam to use Newman Media to burn Billy's reputation to a pile of ash. Problem is that might also tank John Abbott's legacy. And Kane doesn't care so much about that other than Jack might get in the game. But he wants Adam to promise none of this Newman Media stuff will blow back on Lily. Meanwhile, Chelsea Newman, Melissa Claire Egan, shows up really irritated because Billy wouldn't give her any information. But Adam says Billy's not the only source and says Kane's going to give them everything they need for this article. Chelsea thinks Victor is tainting their story, and Chelsea's wondering if Billy is in the right about this. I mean, that's debatable. He's certainly not acting right about it. Young and Restless spoilers. Victor's run-in with Billy. And then we also have Victor facing off with Billy by the end of this week up at the GC. And Victor vows to destroy Billy. He makes it clear. Victor says he will never let Billy run Catherine's company. And then Billy runs into Kane and Lily and gloats that he will be running their company very soon. So this Chancellor storyline has almost everybody pulled into it. And I honestly don't see Billy coming out on top. It would be a big change. One person
if he did.
guaranteed to turn this romantic development into a full-scale family crisis. It is Victor Newman. Victor's long-running hostility toward the Abbott family makes Kyle one of the last people he would ever want involved with Victoria. Current spoilers already have Victor confronting Jack Abbott as tensions between the families continue escalating. Imagine Victor's reaction when he discovers that his daughter isn't simply spending time with an Abbott. She is romantically involved with one. It could reignite the Newman-Abbott war in spectacular fashion. Victor may accuse Kyle of manipulating Victoria. He may believe the relationship is part of an Abbott strategy against his family. And if Kyle insists his feelings are genuine, Victor could become even more determined to separate them. Victoria, however, is no longer the young woman who automatically accepts her father's decisions. If Victor orders her to stay away from Kyle, she may do exactly the opposite. Claire could be heartbroken. There is another emotional complication waiting beneath the surface. Claire. Kyle's recent relationship with Claire makes his attraction to her mother particularly explosive. Claire once saw Kyle as someone she could build a future with, and now she may have to watch him become involved with Victoria. That could create a devastating emotional confrontation. Would Claire feel betrayed by Kyle? Would she blame her mother? Or would she recognize that neither Victoria nor Kyle deliberately set out to hurt her? Whatever happens, the situation has the potential to fracture relationships that have already been tested repeatedly. Is Kyle playing a dangerous game? Another question hanging over the storyline is Kyle's motivation. Some viewers have wondered whether his attraction to Victoria could somehow be connected to the Newman-Abbott conflict. Perhaps getting close to Victor's daughter would give Kyle leverage. Perhaps he simply enjoys challenging the Newman patriarch. But there are signs that something more genuine may be happening. Fans have already been sharply divided over the pairing. Some see the romance as an entertaining way to reignite the Newman-Abbott rivalry, while others believe Kyle's feelings for Victoria are sincere. That uncertainty makes the story even more compelling. If Kyle is manipulating Victoria, the fallout could be enormous. If he isn't, then Victoria may have stumbled into a relationship that neither family can control. A kiss that changes everything. The upcoming kiss isn't simply another soap opera moment. It represents a decision. Victoria and Kyle have spent enough time circling each other to understand the consequences. They know their families will react. They know Claire could be hurt. They know their history makes the relationship controversial. And yet, they appear willing to take the risk. That is what gives the moment its intensity. Once they cross that line, there is no easy way back. Victoria may try to convince herself that it was only a mistake. Kyle may attempt to laugh it off. They could even agree that getting involved would be too complicated. But Genoa City rarely allows people to walk away from chemistry that easily. The more likely scenario is that the kiss opens a door neither of them expected to walk through. And once that door opens, Victor, Claire, Jack, Summer, and the rest of the Newman-Abbott circle may be pulled into the fallout. For Victoria and Kyle, the real drama may begin after the kiss. Because the question isn't whether they have chemistry anymore. It's whether they're brave or reckless, enough to find out where it leads. With Victoria and Kyle finally giving in to their attraction, the young and the restless appears ready to turn an unexpected connection into one of Genoa City's most explosive romances. Whether it becomes genuine love, a temporary temptation, or another weapon in the endless Newman-Abbott war remains is about to get a whole lot more complicated. As the young and the restless heads into the week of August 24th to 28th, Victoria Newman and Kyle Abbott appear ready to cross a line that could send shockwaves through both the Newman and Abbott families. After weeks of emotional tension and increasingly obvious attraction, spoilers indicate that Victoria and Kyle finally give in to their chemistry with a steamy kiss. The pairing is already one of the most unexpected developments in Genoa City. Victoria and Kyle have spent time talking, challenging each other, and discovering a surprising emotional connection. What began as an unlikely friendship has slowly developed into something much harder for either of them to ignore. And now, the tension is reaching a breaking point. Victoria makes the first move. Victoria has never been someone who waits around for another person to make a decision for her. When she knows what she wants, she usually goes after it, and Kyle is about to discover that side of her in a very personal way. Spoilers suggest Victoria arrives at Jabot and tells Kyle that she intends to knock some of his famous swagger out of him. What begins as playful, verbal sparring quickly becomes something far more serious when the distance between them disappears and they finally kiss. The moment promises to be charged not only because of their attraction, but because both characters understand exactly how complicated this could become. Kyle is an Abbott. Victoria is a Newman. That alone would be enough to create trouble. But their history makes the situation considerably more explosive. Kyle was once married to Victoria's niece, Summer, and he was recently engaged to Victoria's daughter, Claire. He has also occupied complicated family roles around Victoria because of past marriages within the Newman and Abbott families. A romantic relationship between them would therefore affect far more people than just the two of them. Chemistry they can't deny. What makes this storyline particularly intriguing is that Victoria and Kyle don't appear to be attracted to each other simply because of rebellion or family rivalry. They have actually found something they both needed. Victoria has spent years carrying the weight of her family's expectations. Being Victor Newman's daughter has meant living with enormous pressure, constant battles, and a father who rarely accepts decisions he doesn't control. Kyle, meanwhile, has spent much of his life fighting to establish his own identity within the Abbott dynasty. His relationship with his father, his history with his mother, and his constant struggles with Newman family members have made independence difficult. When Victoria and Kyle talk, they seem to understand those pressures in a way few other people can. That emotional connection may be what transforms their attraction from a passing temptation into something genuinely dangerous. The question now becomes whether either of them can stop it. We've got more on Nick Newman's rehab struggle. Remember, Matt Clark, Roger Howarth, just showed up to see Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, at Crimson Lights, and then she went to visit Nick at rehab after that. He's been refusing to see his family when they've tried to visit, and he tells Sharon that they may be annoyed with him. Bottom line is Nick's just not ready for other visitors. And then Sharon stresses him out when she tells Nick about Matt stopping by Crimson Lights and saying that he really needs Sharon and Nick's forgiveness. ATT desperate for forgiveness on YNR. So, Sharon's telling Nick that Matt doesn't expect everybody to forgive him, but he desperately and very specifically wants Nick and Sharon's forgiveness. And this ticks Nick off because he's got no interest in forgiving Matt at all. And Sharon said that she doesn't want to see Matt around, but she says seeing him doesn't hurt her like it used to. Nick says he doesn't want to deal with any version of Matt when he gets out of rehab. And Sharon thinks it's okay for Nick to decide if family can visit him or not, that this process belongs to him. Sharon's just glad that Nick agreed to let her visit, and he appreciates that Sharon always cuts him a break and is kind to him. And then Nick tells her that basically he and Sharon have seen each other at their very worst. So that's why he feels comfortable having her there. Young and restless spoilers. Sharon urges Nick not rush his recovery. Then Nick talks to Sharon about how he's doing in rehab. She urges Nick, take your time. Don't set a limit on how long it's going to take you. Nick also tells Sharon about Marie Kirkland, Jade Harlow, the motel overdose woman that he told Sharon about the night she drove him back to rehab. So, she's surprised to find out Marie is also in rehab with Nick. And he talked about it being a full circle moment. Says he'll never forget Marie. Of course not, because he's seeing her constantly. Because in next week, Young and the Restless spoilers, we have Nick still in rehab. He's sitting at a table alone doing a jigsaw puzzle, and it looks like Marie spots a puzzle piece he didn't have placed right, and Nick asks how he missed that, and Marie says sometimes it just takes a fresh pair of eyes for everything to fall into place. YNR spoilers. Nick and Marie romance ahead. I definitely see Nick and Marie getting closer, possibly beginning a romance, which is interesting since Nick and Sharon were talking about taking a trip together with the kids once he's done with rehab. Meanwhile, we got to wonder if Victor has had enough of Matt defying his orders, because in next week's Young and the Restless spoilers, Phyllis Summers storms up to Adam at the GCAC bar and confronts him. He's there with Kane. I'm sure they're talking about Billy and Chancellor, and Phyllis freaks and demands to know where the hell Matt is and what Adam's family has done with him. So it sounds like Phyllis's new lover is MIA. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kane and Adam taunt Phyllis that she can't even keep a psycho like Matt Clark around. Also, in huge Young and the Restless spoilers for next week, it is finally happening. Victoria is up at Jabot, and she tells Kyle she is going to love knocking the swagger out of him. And then they kiss, and it is steamy. I am here for it. But I'm sure that Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, is going to have some issues with it. And I know Victor is going to lose his whole entire mind at the idea of Victoria getting with another Abbott.